to accommodate for color blindness and just for fun.
Yeah. Looks like we are off. Uncle very simply just saying hi to start off the seed. As we were talking about the weapons already. Well, there's the Uncle bombs. Uncle does not have bombs, everyone.
Hello.
We know that Uncle does not have bombs because that is the bombs that the Uncle would give us if he was giving us bombs.
Sure. Thanks, Uncle.
So we have a 1 in 6 chance now. Everyone, get your 1 in 6 chance vote in for what we're gonna get here.
Oh no, I am hoping for maybe a King's Burner or the Game of Samaria. Either King.
I will say I want to see some more Samaria just because I want to see people use Samaria strats. But we're getting Fire Rod.
A very, very solid weapon as well. Of course, with bombs being a white item, you do have to switch over to the Fire Rod.
Yeah. Or use the bombs. Whatever you prefer. I think you probably want to switch to the Fire Rod, though.
Yeah, at this point, I believe that both of the runners are going to go for faster strats over having fun strats.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, our runners are making their way through the castle. We'll be breaking in and rescuing Zelda, which awaits at the very bottom.
We go through here, so the one nice part, the one thing I really like about the standard mode is the fact that you don't have to worry about, wow, the power gloves.
That is a massive item to find early.
Although at the same time, doesn't mean as much as in open mode, because of the fact the gloves by themselves only open the back of escape in the first place, which we're going to go to regardless.
Yes, with those 10 bombs, unless something really bad happens, I doubt that our runners will be missing a bomb to open that wall.
Yeah.
Now, of course, our runners can choose to sequence break unless they find the lamp up to Death Mountain, which would be an interesting play. Of course, we have yet to even get to Zelda, so I should get some amazing sync right here.
Sefi taking some time to pick up those extra rupees. With the couple, he's gotten one lucky drop, and then he also killed the one guard right off the bat. As the 2 guards that are in the Uncle area are pretty free to kill with any of your magic items, because you get the 2 magic pots right after that, so you can always have the ability to just kill those 2 guards with any of your magic items, and then... What is this, Seed?
I mean, hammering into a chest?
Perhaps, or Titan's mitts, or both.
But at the same time,
well, sewer chest is a small key.
Yes, that is correct. Actually, the back of the sewers will have hammer, mitts, boots.
Yeah. So right now, this is actually not what you really want to see at the start of the seed. You don't want to have the whole world open up to you, because then it's impossible to know where you're supposed to go to find those last 3 items that you find that are invariably going to troll these runners. Most likely all of the seed with the speed that we're getting these progression items.
Yeah, this is definitely starting to look like a jet steed. Now, of course, we are only 4 minutes in, so anything can really still happen. But it will indeed be interesting to see what our runners will choose. I am expecting the more quote-unquote standard routing of the Lost Woods, Kakariko, and South Shore. But other than that, depending on if we find even more progression.
Yeah, I was about to say, we're already at cracking to a point where if you find, for instance, the bow and the lamp, you might just go straight to Eastern if it's a crystal at this point. After Kakariko, I don't think we'll see any Kakariko skips. You start close enough to it in the first place that we'll see Kakariko, but I could see South Shore skipped if we get access to one of the Light World dungeons and it's a crystal.
Yes, very true. Only time will tell, though, as both of our runners are making their way through these ropes. Ooh, giving them a little bit of trouble, but having enough hearts to tank those hits. As we get the smoky ash you mentioned, before we do need to get through this door.
Yeah. Always going to be a small key in the first four chests. 3 in escape, 3 in the main escape, and 1 there, I believe.
Yes.
Yes.
I believe it is impossible to take any of the drop keys to the back of escape. Yes, it is actually impossible to.
Yeah, because you're required to use them to get to Zelda in the first place.
Yes. Either way, sequence breaking aside, KillerApp using the 10 bombs from Uncle to check out these chests there.
And not much of use there, but hey, it's checked now.
That is true. Another far off location. Now, of course, we already have the mitts, so if we didn't get the bombs, it would be quite a quick check.
Yeah. I've already seen a couple seeds where that has been potentially, or in my case, it actually did cost me a significant amount of time, 1 seed. But as it goes, Sefi just dropping a bomb on the rats just because, probably mostly as a button mispressed. But hey, spite the rats.
Yeah, most of the time they will stop right in front of the door. It's like they're programmed to. They're not, but randomness is a cruel mistress. As we have both of our runners exiting Sanctuary. KillerApp going to forgo the Lost Wish. No, never mind.
Just foregoing the Lumberjack. Just skipping the Lumberjack check.
Yes, of course, at this point, it will only give our runners knowledge about the item that is present, as we do need to kill Aghanim to gain access to
There's a useful tree pull for early game.
Definitely getting all of those rupees early, and an 8 bomb drop from the Hoarder.
Well, we're not buying any bombs this scene.
No, that is far out of the question. As we find even more money, been pretty rich
and more money. Except we
even
can't
more
get that
money.
one.
Oh my, Green Gar, Forest Thief.
That's a sprite thief, I guess.
Yes. Oh, and I just noticed that's a sprite can, so we have a sprite and a sprite can sprite. Meanwhile, KillerApp
into the blind hut check.
Yes, of course, having more than enough bombs, we'll be able to check the.
I'm always a little interested in exactly how everyone decides to route this room. Just in terms of which side do they push first, as well as how do they get their bomb to the bombable wall. It's one of these little things you'll actually see almost every runner do it slightly differently.
Yeah, this game does allow for a lot of own personalization in the way that you move and put on certain items, perform certain actions. It's quite a nice game, which is why we all love it so much. Sefi following in KillerApp's footsteps as we see KillerApp tackle the Kakariko well, finding a bottle B. Now, that B is quite nice to have as it can damage enemies, but more importantly, it does allow our runners to full clear the Kakariko area by checking the Sicked immediately.
Yeah. There's a hook shot.
And Pepsi can. Pepsi armor.
Looks like it's probably just about time to find a lamp and tell us to go up Death Mountain.
100% return investment.
Yep.
Oh, Grandma's not looking so hot with that. With the blue mill on.
Alright, I missed Chicken Hut. What did we have in Chicken Hut? Anything of any note?
So far, not much has been found. We will get a Sicked check with that ball that we found in the well as Sefi gets his hook shot as well as this bottle. Only even more money. Wow.
And yet we still don't have Zoro money yet. There's a mirror. Okay.
Wow. This seed has been given our runners everything.
That being said, it's one of these interesting seeds where, well, it gives us a very close to Dark World access, but until we get Dark World access, nothing we have here does a lot for us. That being said, this just leads further to we get a lamp, we go up Death Mountain.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is even further what I'm leaning towards is likely the next sort of actual progression item in terms of like leading us somewhere that's not just the normal Sphere 1 checks.
Yes, it is always interesting to see the routing options between runners for where they go. As we do get a map check, I believe that was Pendant at Eastern, Crystal at Hera and Desert.
Red Crystal at Hera even. It was number 5 up there.
Oh, even more important, as that is half of the Super 1 puzzle. In this game, there are 2 very special crystals, dungeons number 5 and number 6. When you collect those 2 crystals, you can go to Link's house in the Dark World and purchase a big bomb for 100 rupees. Now, that unlocks 2 items on the Pyramid of Power, so with Tower of Hera pretty much already being available if our runners opt to sequence break up Death Mountain, we could be seeing a progression at the Cursed Ferry.
And we are getting a divergence here. Not surprising, given that we don't quite have enough we don't have lamp or bow to be able to fully complete or even logically get to all items except for Armos at this point. But you never know. As I said, I'm expecting the lamp to be the next big item. Could be the hammer too, though. Of course, we could get the hammer or the Titan's Mitts to get access to Dark World. Or knowing these kinds of seeds, maybe it's even going to be like the book, and we're going to have a Light World tour before we actually get Dark World access.
That is true. We can.
But there's the hammer.
Never mind that thought. We already have Dark World access 12 minutes in. Wow. Meanwhile, a very fast Eastern getting the big key in the first chest as Sefi will make his way to the mini Moldorm cave. 5 items as well as the Ice Rock cave.
Now, of course, Dark World not the funnest place to be with only 4 or 5 hearts. Now, at least our runners do have blue mail already, though, so that will alleviate some of the danger that you get to of going to Dark World so early. So we'll see how quickly Sefi decides to make that play.
Very true. Of course, we also may have the possibility of seeing a minor glitch for fake flippers as we find the boots in the Moldorm cave.
Boots indeed.
Now our runs can really go fast, which is what we're all here for on the Speed Gaming channel.
And unsurprisingly, we are going to get the Ice Rod cave check, because after getting the boots, there's not a good reason to leave it behind after that. You're not going to get a better time to come back to check it other than once you get Flute, and even then, the time difference between doing it right now versus sometime after you get Flute is negligible, if any.
That is true, definitely. If something important ends up being here, it is one of the more out-of-the-way locations, as you mentioned, so for now, only a big 20 and Sefi decides to head on out.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, KillerApp sequence breaking the Eastern Palace, going through dark rooms without the lamp. Of course, the only downside of doing this is you can't see where you are. But other than that, the rooms are still completely accessible, and both of these runners undoubtedly have all the skills necessary to pretty much do every dark room in the game.
Yeah. Sefi is skipping the bonk rocks for the moment. Does have access to them, of course, with the boots. Can bonk into them, break them open, and find out what's in there. But skipping them by for now, not a huge deal, as he can route it in when he goes towards Graveyard Ledge, when he decides to do that at some point in the future.
That is true. We did already find that mirror, so that would just be a quick warp over.
And on a similar note, that it also makes the King's Tomb an interesting place to check, as King's Tomb is in logic, as we have access with just the mirror and boots allows us access to the King's Tomb as well.
Oh, that is very true.
So I'm not sure how quickly we'll see that north check, but it's a very valuable check at the moment. So green pendant, swamp, blue pendant, Skull Woods, and pod is our other red crystal. So all of our first 3 dungeons are all the first 3 Dark World dungeons are the important ones.
Oh yes, that is true. They are number 1, 2, and 3 respectively, I believe.
It's actually one of the nice parts about these tracks is they're actually set up in the order of the vanilla game.
Oh wow, I never noticed that. Now, of course, in the randomizer, that's not very applicable, as all of the crystals as well as pendants are randomized between the dungeons. So, of course, the only important ones being the 5 and 6 crystals.
And the green pendant, but it's already differentiated by color anyways.
Yes, and the little asterisk, which was added quite some time ago to help with
for the trackers, yeah. To make them a little more defined in the difference. It's not easy to tell them apart otherwise.
Sefi taking a dive into Skull Woods.
Sefi wishing he had the boomerang at least right now. Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
It's wall mastered. Unfortunately, having not picked up the skull beforehand, couldn't get out of the way in time. Just gonna fire rod them. Probably not a bad call.
Very wise choice indeed. Those can really give you a hard time if you...
Pick up the skull. Don't do it again.
Oh, no. Unfortunately, timing is not in Sefi's favor. Meanwhile, KillerApp has to be careful on half a heart now.
Yeah, gonna go for the fake flipper play. Otherwise, he wouldn't be backing out from here. Sefi, are you gonna do it to yourself again? Okay. Okay, we're okay.
Ooh, gets the nice water walk glitch. Is able to swiftly dash across the water.
Yep.
As we find a full heart on Lake Hylia, Gala runners will be looking for that after.
Yeah, you may see that picked up depending on when Ice Palace is done, when Swamp Palace is fully accessible as well. Number of factors, but decent chance you don't actually see it picked up depending on everyone's signing. And there we go. Now we've got some fake flippers for everyone.
Ooh, as we find a sword on Bumper Cave.
That's interesting. And as I mentioned, so we are almost immediately seeing this North Dark World check in general.
Yeah, as you mentioned, the Bumper checks check via the Dark World as well happening now. Finding the Canis Sumaria.
That's pretty big.
That's going to be a really nice item to have once...
He'll be a little sad he didn't do this before he did
yeah.
Skull Woods, but, you know, that's neither here nor there.
Meanwhile, KillerApp showing us the Zora area does not have enough for King Zora's item, but we'll be able to check the Zora ledge.
See if he needs to come back here for that, and he does not, because we don't really need more bombs this seed.
No, we've already gotten way more than enough bombs.
And if we ever somehow manage to run out, we'll just go find a bush crab and pick up some more.
Very true, as we get ether from the Graver ledge. Might be important later.
That was Quake. Already had ether.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, ether was from Blindside, I believe.
Yeah.
One of the two. At least we got them. That's what counts. Kingston check hit from Sefi.
And
Only
just
an
an arrow
arrow
capacity. Just a quiver.
Meanwhile, KillerApp will be checking out the Hype Cave. Interesting to see if it is going to be Hype.
Hype Cave definitely having a decent amount more hype in V29 than it has the past couple versions.
Let's see if it pays off.
Well, oh, there it is.
Wow, yeah, there we go. Lots of required blue items. Well, boomerang not so much, but definitely a very nice weapon to have, especially in the Ganon's Tower where it has some uses.
I'll take a flute, and even the 300 rupees that we got right off the start wasn't unwelcome yet. Still not. We're in a fairly good rupee position, but it's nice to just consolidate that now.
Yes, you definitely don't want to run out of money when you need it best, or need it most rather.
750 being a fairly safe spot, and also puts us into a point, of course, where we are good to always farm up some more rupees if we need them. $10 arrows. We don't want those.
Missing the bow is definitely quite a deterrent for any arrow pickups. Sefi, meanwhile, checking out the Village of the Outcasts. Not as many items as in Kakariko, but still a worthwhile area to visit.
And we're getting more bombs, which KillerApp's just like, well, actually, KillerApp might have been able to use those bombs at this point, but...
Yeah, he is coming kind of low.
At the same time, given that we have the hammer and the fire rod, bombs likely not used in a lot more places. Most places they are used have bomb pickups right beside them.
Yes, this game has does have a tendency to give you the item that you need.
Meanwhile, both of our runners in the same spot in different worlds.
Sort of ethereal high five there as KillerApp activates his flute. Sefi will be taking a dip into Thieves Town as we find our first sword.
And we're gonna flute, so I assume we're going to Death Mountain. We are. We're gonna get some more darkness, so we'll just watch Sefi here for a little bit as Sefi finds the book.
Ooh, very nice item to find. It does allow us to see what is on either of the tablets, as well as what's on the pedestal. But more importantly, that allows us to get into Desert Palace, which is required to see.
Speaking of pedestal, we're on a interesting place for pedestal with how many items we've got towards our pendant dungeons already.
Basically, the only thing that could possibly be on the pedestal that is required is the ice rod or bombos, or any item that leads to said items.
True.
Because of course the bow is necessary to complete Eastern Palace. The flippers are required for Swamp Palace. And that's pretty much all we need still.
The cape being on there would offer that interesting little bit, but if anyone ever found out that it was just the cape, you're not going to complete all the pendant dungeons just for another sword. What was? Wait, that wasn't. What was on Bumper Cave?
It was a sword, yes.
Okay, it was a sword. Okay, I'm not crazy.
Well.
Okay, I'm crazy, but that's not the point.
Anyway, meanwhile, we find the cane of burner from the old man. He has had enough of walking, gives Link his old cane. Of course, a very nice safety item to have, which also opens up the Spy Cave chest.
There's the lamp. So flute 100% required this seed, in terms of logic. So there was another sword.
Another sword. We've already found 3 so far.
Sefi taking care of all those grasshoppers. They're not the most fun. Still only doing 1 heart each with the blue mail, I believe, but still don't want. We only have 5 hearts. That's still a lot of damage to be taken.
Yeah, this seed has not been very generous in the health department. As KillerApp will go pick up his level 1 sword for now. Oop, Sefi has to be careful, down to 1.5 hearts. The Thiefstand dungeon has a lot of enemies.
But also in the second part, it does have quite a few heart pickups, so he will be pretty much back up to full health by the time he actually reaches blind here. Time to see whether the... what was our stun drop? Stun drop is 20 rupees.
A nice drop to find out. Of course, none of our runners has paid Zora, but at this point we already have more than enough to suffice for the rest of the game. As KillerApp is going to dive into the Tower of Hera, we'll be able to complete it as we do have a fire source.
Yeah.
Although our runners are hoping that they won't have to go to the basement, as it does cost a significant amount of time.
1 item. Be quite the troll if this does end up being a basement for the last item after giving us the first item so quickly. Nice hammer strats there. Sefi looking pretty good for scripting the fight. Oh, that's gonna hurt though.
Ooh, has to be careful, down to half a heart.
Probably a good play here. Going to use the Samaria to be able to just focus on dodging. Unfortunately, did not quite pay off. But definitely a good thought there. Just if you get the Samaria block down, you can focus on dodging instead of having to trying to get those hits in while also dodging, especially with the knockback that comes from those hits.
Yes, the Kingdom Samaria block on its own will do damage to enemies. So very nice little bit of knowledge to have as KillerApp takes on the favorite Moldome. 3 hammer strikes and Moldome's out.
Hello, Compass. Yeah, we're getting all sorts of boring things here. No item in Hera basement. Thieves Town small key was locked in the big chest. All the boring things are going on. Actually, I think Hera's small key was also... Well, no, we don't know because he didn't check the last item, did he? Or check the last location.
No, but I believe that it was the map. I don't think that we picked that up.
Yeah, so the big chest in Hera could have been either the map or the small key. And the other one would be in the other chest.
Yeah, neither is useful to our runners, so that is why KillerApp opted to skip them, as we do get a boot spiral cave only for a piece of heart. Sefi now will be picking up his flute shortly, as well as his blue boomerang. KillerApp making his way up the mountain. We'll be checking the entirety of the Paradox Cave. 7 items, or chests rather.
Yep.
Very lucrative area indeed. And if we happen to maybe find another glove upgrade, we'll be able to check the Dark World.
Yeah, no real opportunities for for a lot of further divergence yet. We haven't gotten a lot of items that have opened up. Once Sefi activates his flute, he's pretty much got. Both runners pretty much are on the same item pacing, pretty much.
Nope, getting bulleted a little by these mini Moldworms. As Sefi will check the tablet. I'm not sure what that was. I couldn't quite catch that as my stream was a bit...
Yeah, I didn't catch it. So a better defensive... It's a shield. Shield on the tablet.
Shield, not very useful to our runners right now, but within the logic, on the laser bridge, a location within the Turtle Rock dungeon, you are required to have the mirror shield, as it is the only shield that can block the laser beam. So,
well, the mirror shield or invulnerability is the big thing there.
Oh yes, we also found the cane of burner.
Yeah. That being said, we just found the bow. The bow is on the desert ledge.
Desert ledge, an excellent place for it.
Sefi, of course, was going to come into desert either way, but now is definitely coming into desert because, of course, you come into desert when you know you're getting the bow for it.
That is true. Also, with that bow, that will allow the NMG kill on the landmolars.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be getting NMG kill with the fire rod in hand.
That is true. It does only take, I believe, 2 fire rod shots per snake.
That's correct.
As opposed to, what is it, 3 arrows, 4 arrows per?
I believe it's 4. And on top of that, the fire rod shots, of course, can hit multiple heads at once because of the lingering AoE.
Very true. Of course, this is the randomizer tournament, not the NMG tournament. So we are going to see a bit more of a creative boss fight, of course, having access to a lot of items that necessarily would not occur in the vanilla game.
Yeah, it's very rare to see. I have not sure I've seen a regular arrow fight on Landmo in my entirety of watching Randomizer. I'm sure it's happened, but I'm not sure that I've seen one. Silver arrows all the time, because silver arrows can kill the land molas in 1 shot each.
Yeah, silver arrows are kind of overpowered in this game, up there with the fire rod as we find the ice rod. So that is already 1 troll item out of the way.
Yep.
Now that does only leave bombos for the pedestal. Meanwhile, KillerApp in Thieves Town did pick up his Master Sword. We'll be very happy to get that, as it is required in order to beat the game.
Oh no, the spin speed!
Yes, one downside to the spin speed state is you are essentially dashing, and if you're dashing into a ledge, you will immediately drop off. So Sefi will have to go back into desert to...
The rotating heads got you, didn't they?
Yeah, mesmerizing. KillerApp getting through the hellway pretty unscathed. We'll be heading up to the attic to make a hole in the floor.
See if he gets the blind kill immediately. Could be a little important because I do have this feeling that the killer's a little bit behind. I don't think my mind keeps telling me that he's probably actually not, but to me so far it's felt like he's just a little bit behind where Sefi's at every moment we've been so far.
In terms of progression, KillerApp is a little bit behind, but keep in mind that he did check the lumberjacks as well as the Zora area, so...
Yeah, and he, of course, has the Tower of Hera completed as well already. Very different routes so far. KillerApp, of course, spent very little time in the Dark World, basically found the flute, then finished sort of the South Dark World Overworld checks, and just went, yeah, I'm going to Tower of Hera.
Oh dear. Blind's looking pretty
a little
blue. Dare I say, dabba dee dabba da. Anyway, Sefi, in the landminer fight, we'll be using the fire rod. And we'll be finishing it off with the hammer. A very good choice. The hammer does tempered sword level damage. As KillerApp gets into the blind fight, starts off the scripted fight. Undoubtedly one of the easier script parts to set up here. Gets the second phase pretty down as well.
We are getting some NMG strats though, as we decide to maybe try some arrows. And then we're just trying to get the landmost down. There we go.
There we go. Final arrow.
For more bombs.
But more importantly, the crystal. So both her runners pick up a crystal. So some nice sync going on. KillerApp going to finish off the Village of Outcast Jack.
Not too much more here, but we'll see exactly where he goes from here. I don't expect it. I'm not sure how much of Skull Woods we'll see here, if any. But we are going to get some North Dark World, and we'll see exactly which. We'll see if he remembers the Bonk Rocks, which I'm pretty sure he will, but we'll see exactly how this check goes overall.
Sees the level 3 sword on the Bumper Cave. Definitely a nice item to have, although I doubt that our runners will go back once they get the cape. Of course, still very possible, as it does cut the Ganon fight like quite a lot.
Yeah, it depends on when we're talking about it. If they actually hit go mode, and are done all dungeons except for Turtle Rock, I could see stopping there, as it speeds up both Trinex and Ganon significantly.
Yes, it is a little bit of a toss-up whether or not you are comfortable with playing through the game with Master Sword or Tempered Sword.
Well, and there's a degree of it that is just the speed as well. I'm not sure that there's a good reason to not go pick it up if it's the tempered upgrade when you find the cape actually. But we will see what both these players decide to make for their decisions in the future, of course. Or if it's even the decision that needs to be made. Once you have tempered sword, the upgrade to butter sword is basically negligible.
Yes, of course, it is nice to have if you happen to pick it up from a chest, but otherwise I think that our runners will have sufficient enough offensive power with the tempered sword. Sefi, meanwhile, getting his Light World Death Mountain, will be receiving his lamp as well as his Master Sword.
And KillerApp grabs the Quake. And we'll go and pick up his, I believe it was a quiver from the King's Tomb.
Yes, I believe that is correct, although we will see shortly as both runners are pretty much treading in the other player's footsteps. Of course, a little bit of overlap will always occur. As we see Sefi setting up for a bomb jump. Ooh.
And I'm not sure you even have a pixel of leeway in that bomb jump. I think it's pixel perfect.
Yeah, it is the largest gap in the game that is bomb jumpable, I believe. But it does require you to be extremely close to the ledge.
Nice hookshot dash there. Hookshot, a nice way to get spin speed for without. Now, while item dashing is a one-frame trick, it's a much easier one-frame trick than spin speed is.
Yes, spin speed does take a little bit of extra time by having to charge the spin attack.
Well, and it's a much more specific sort of let go of A or let go of B, press A, I believe. Like within, like at the same. Is it within the same frame or one frame after? I don't know. I don't do spin speed. I'm awful at this.
Yes, of course, minor glitches are allowed within this tournament. Although the logic being used is the no glitches logic, so if you are planning on playing this yourself, you don't need to have any advanced knowledge. As we find a shield on Bomber's Medallion and 50 rupees on the Ether Tablet.
Although I will throw in a quick correction, there is some specialized knowledge that you may need that you're not aware that isn't classified as a glitch. Those are all outlined, of course, in some starting documents. Some of those I'm referring to are things like bonking across pits is something that is an intended mechanic by the developers, by the original, like, by I'm not sure what studio, even by the original game developers.
I believe it was Nintendo R&D 4 that made this
Okay.
game. But yeah, that is very true. I have been playing the randomizer for way too long that I've taken that for granted.
Yeah, there's some things that using bombos to get into Ice Palace, using the as I already mentioned that, using our other entrance to Desert Palace, that was not really so much a glitch as just unusual routing that you can't normally do in normal, because of course you're not going to have any of the items you need to do to have the flute, mitts, or mirror by the time you get to Desert Palace.
Yes, indeed, practically impossible without the randomizer. Unless, of course, major glitches are used.
Fortunately, Sefi got a poke in there, so he's made Moldorm angry.
Oh no, this is the worst face to get. Does manage to take him down though.
Yep.
Boots required for Desert Palace. As we get the big key on the torch, we'll be checking the big chest and most likely will finish off Landmolers.
No reason not to, and then Sefi will be... So once we finish this, we're pretty much on even footing, except for the fact that Sefi has not completed blind.
Yes, that would be the only discrepancies between these two runners. Only a fiver on the floating island. We did get to see that when...
There's one more small discrepancy, which is KillerApp hasn't checked the Skullwoods yet, but there was nothing major in Skullwoods, so... Aside from that, actually, who did the Eastern dip? Was that Killer at the start?
Yes, that was.
Okay.
So both of these runners have dipped a dungeon that the other has not. So in the end, it does even out. But we still have a lot of game to go before we can call a winner.
Yep. But this is where we start to get interesting, where we've sort of checked everything that... We've checked all the high density areas. Now we're going to get down to some more nitty gritty here as we go. I would expect a pod play to be coming in the very near future. As actually, is pod fully in logic right now?
I believe it is.
Yeah, we've got we've got the lamp, we've got the bow. Really, and we've got the hammer. That's all you need. You just those 3 items.
And we have more than enough rupees to pay off our favorite extortionist. Kiki obviously requiring 110 rupees to not only follow you, as well as to open the dungeon.
Those Landmo with some interesting damage flashes due to our sprite once again.
Yeah, the game does not enjoy being messed with in the sprite department, as certain colors are taken from Link's palette. But a very cool addition nonetheless. Randomizer has had a number of very interesting effects on the game. Of course, from the more visually ones, as we saw then with the land molars, but also in the more speedrunning department, as because due to the sometimes curious setup of items, the the randomizer has also led to the discovery of new glitches, even now, more than 20 years after its original release.
Yeah, so time to see where our plays are. There's a play to the pod area. And let's see it, Killer. Let's see the flute to 5.
And that does look like it is going to be the case. A synchronized pod dip.
Well, yeah. Actually, there's no reason for Sefi to. Sefi may take the quick check of Sahasrara's hut here. I don't believe he checked that yet. Yes, there we go.
Yeah, it's going to make sure that he does not miss anything from the Sphere 1, which of course is always the most painful if you miss one of the earliest locations available.
But on the other hand, I don't expect to see an Eastern Palace dip, as that's a lot more time to invest.
Yes, on top of it being only a pendant.
Only a pendant, and we are flippers and possibly medallions.
Yes, by logic.
From Go mode?
Yes, by logic, we do need the flippers in order to.
Oh, true. Yeah, we don't even need the flippers. We are
basically
Titansmith's big one. Yeah,
and perhaps bombos or any item leading to either glove upgrade or bombos, and that's it. Wow, this has been a very, very quick seed so far. Of course, with that amazing start at the beginning, I would have expected nothing less.
Yeah, it gave us the hammer too fast to really troll us with too much.
Now, also one interesting thing to note, with this Balance of Darkness play, our runners might be looking at the Cursed Fairy for progression.
Yes, for sure. The Pyramid Fairy being a very important check to make in the near future after this, potentially. And not one that would be a very hard decision to make either, I think, considering that the rest of the crystal dungeons are locked by the Titan's Mitts. So once we've completed this, if we haven't gotten the Titan's Mitts yet, there's not really a reason to not check the Pyramid Fairy fairly quickly afterwards.
Yeah, definitely one of the items which unlocks pretty much everything of the Dark World, dungeon-wise, I mean.
And as mentioned, with the Titan's Mitts being sort of a pseudo-go mode for this seed, there is a decent chance that we will see some degree of go mode type plays from these runners once we find the Titan.
Yes, and for those unfamiliar, when we say go mode is basically a state where our runners have everything they need to clear every single pendant dungeon, or every single crystal dungeon, in order to head up to Ganon's Tower. Just wanted to
as well as complete Ganon's Tower in the case of when the hookshot or bow are not required for the crystal dungeon. Or sometimes even the Titan's Mitts if you happen to have that case where Ice Palace, Misery Mire, and Turtle Rock are all pendants. Because you will always need Titan's Mitts to be able to get access to Ganon's Tower.
KillerApp opting to forgo the Hammer Yum for now. We'll be checking the potentially 4 chests here first.
Not surprising with when you have the mirror. With the mirror, the Hammer Yump is almost useless in standard and open modes, and basically non-key sanity modes. As the main advantage of the Hammer Yump is it lets you do all of this in a slightly more efficient arc. But given that you can just get to the big chest and mirror out anyways, not a huge deal.
Very true. As Sefi was attempting a setup, opted to drop it though, as the bridge was collapsing a bit faster. KillerApp in the dark maze.
Sounds like KillerApp might have missed the door with the bomb there. Didn't hear the jingle of the door opening. And we will not be going back to Bumper Cave.
So that is all 4 of the swords found. Of course, one is still locked behind the cape, which we have yet to find. And only a 5er in the big chest. KillerApp will be using that mirror to go back to start, do not pass go. And will be taken on Helm's King shortly.
Yep. No, and definitely with the Tempered Sword found, I would say that puts even a lot more credence into my statement before. That was the one thing that would have slowed them down from sort of go-moding everything else once they found the Titan's Mitts, was that they would have really wanted a sword upgrade or silvers.
Yes, silver arrows are still out there, not necessarily required for our runners, as I do trust that both of them are familiar with silverless cannon, but as far as logic is concerned, they are required.
I always hear that said. I'm not quite sure exactly how that works, because I do know that every item in the game is accessible, at the moment at least. Every item in the game is accessible by the time you get to Ganon's Tower. So I always hear the statement that the logic requires. I don't think it's so much that the logic requires, it's that the logic is built in a way that you can get every item, and therefore silvers are available by the time you get to Ganon.
Fair enough. An interesting thought indeed. I haven't that hadn't crossed my mind, to be honest.
Yeah. So so just for a little bit more depth on what I just sort of mentioned, at the moment the randomizer is designed in such a way that there is no item that will ever be locked, even if it's not required for defeating Ganon. So, for instance, in this seed, the mirror would always be obtainable, because even though Swamp Palace isn't required, because of the fact that that's just how the logic is programmed. The mirror, every item is always obtainable.
Yes, you can always collect every single item of the entire game. Every single location is checkable, is what that basically means.
Well, not necessarily every item, or not necessarily every location, just by virtue of the few keys that can lock themselves, but...
That is also true. A lot of things to keep track of in the randomizer.
Yeah, a bunch of little nuances. Anyways, Helmasaur is
onto
down.
The race.
Helmasaur, a very non-threatening boss if you have at least Tempered Sword. And more than, especially once you have any males. Very interesting case, as Helmasaur is actually one of the, to my understanding, is actually an NMG one of the more dangerous bosses. And in Rando, you very rarely see that, as you typically have much more gear than you would have in NMG to this point.
Yes, very true. As Sefi does finish up a very quick Helmasaur King fight. Gaining that all-important crystal, and judging by KillerApp's routing, I do believe that Cursed Fairy is on his mind right now.
Yeah, most likely. I don't think we're seeing a Swamp Palace play at this point.
At this point, dipping...
Well, I know we can't, because we don't even have flippers.
Oh, that is true. As of yet, there has not been a minor